Yo, yo, yo. What is going on, everybody? It is great to have you with me. Sorry for the delay. Line at Culver's was short, and then they still took forever. But I'm here, and we got a game to talk about against the Chicago Bears. It's the 1-4 bowl, baby. 1-4 against 1-4. My, oh, my. This season ain't going the way we want it to. But at the end of the day, we got a game against the Bears. And if we don't win this game, it is Katie bar the door. And even if you do win this game, you'd have 2 wins against the Bears and the Panthers. So it's a lose-lose situation. But, boy, oh boy, if we can get a victory to get to 2-4 and somehow pull off a miracle against the 49ers, we'd be right back into this. Am I holding my breath on that? Not really, but that's all right. Let me get some shout outs in here. Scene isn't even fun to make fun of anymore. T-Bass. Oh, you're funny. Can we see a draw? That would be the ultimate, is to just have a tie. You know, it reminds me of the Christian Ponder era where Brett Favre was injured and we went to Green Bay and Scott Tolzien was their quarterback that day, right? They ended up in a tie. And I had the line, and Patrick Royce, esteemed columnist for the Star Tribune at the time, said the line, when Tolzien and Ponder play, nobody wins. But I digress. Shout out to T-Bass, as well as shout out to David Ditter. I've seen enough. J.G. McCarthy, quarterback 1. I don't know. Would be nice to get Florida State DN, then I'll trade back. Yeah, you know what? I agree with this part, though. Fire sale time if you lose this game. If you lose this game, forget about it. Vikings Gaming in the building. What's going on? Good to see you. Let's be honest, the only guy that probably tried to trade is Hunter. Maybe Osborne. Kirk has the Vikings by the ball. You know what? I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow on SKOL for Days. There is a way to get Kirk Cousins to waive his no trade clause. There is a way, but we'll talk about that one tomorrow. Just about as bad as my girlfriend. Well, again, if I had known what I was going to be facing this morning, I would have been able to get here at 12:05. But alas, but you know what that's going to do? It is going to force me to not ramble on too much because you know me. I say, oh, we'll be 25 minutes, end up being 45 because I'm talking to you guys, but that's all right. Shout out to Luft in the building. What's going on, Grandpa Dave? Good to see you there as well. We got Purple Rain 247. Shout out Yogi in the building. What's going on? Of course, my guy Rap is going to give me the business about being late, but that's all right. I was about to say no sound. Never mind. Oh, okay. I had him muted. Well, see, there you go. There you go. Shout out to Patrick in the building as well. What's going on? Shout out Roger. What is going on with you as well? Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Yeah. Was you running? Yeah, I was running. I wasn't going to move it back because then you guys would be like, forget this guy. My guy to MVP, you ain't right. Shout out to Patrick in the building for the $4.99 super chat. Patrick, we appreciate you so very, very much. So with all that being said, if I can find it, because this thing gets changed around so many times. Where is it? I'll get it to you. Up, here it is. Here we go.
I give you 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I don't know, but I feel I'm actually going to be.
I give you 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
That one was for Davey Chains with the $10 super chat. We appreciate you as well. Thank you so very kindly. Let's get that up on the screen. Thank you so much, Chains. All righty. I meant to drop. Yeah, exactly. Sean the Bomb 16. What's going on? What's going on? I appreciate all you guys. And of course, we got Too Evil to Hope. I knew that one was coming. I knew it was. He's put it in the Vikings First and SKOL chat earlier. Okay, so we got just a short amount of time here, but out of breath or not, on time or not, we got to give some shout outs to some people. And what's going on in the world today, it makes it even more important that we shout them out. To the active and veteran members of our military, as well as your families, thank you so much for what you have done and what you continue to do. And I'll just leave it at that. To the brave men and women who are members of our police force, firefighters, and EMS, thank you so kindly that in times of danger, in times of bad things. What's the word I'm looking for? I've done this a million times. In times of tragedy, that's the word. You are the ones running towards the danger while the rest of us are running away from it. To doctors, nurses, surgeons, frontline workers, home health care providers. When we are unable to help ourselves, you are there for us to nurse us back to health. To all of the men and women that I have named here, as always, thank you so very much. All righty, let's get to business here. There's part of me that wants a time better fix. Well, yeah, that too. There's that too. The land of the free because of the brave. You got that right. Even though you're calling me with the tay-tay, I'm going to give you that one. I'm going to give you that one too, Evil. I'm ready for this game. I got my age jersey. All right, there you go. There you go. All right, for real. Let's get down to this business here. Justin Jefferson at least out at least for 4 weeks. And according to reports, it might be 4 to 6 weeks. As I said earlier this week, he doesn't come back until he's completely healthy. And I don't care if that takes 8 games. And if at that point we're just mailing in the season, I wouldn't be upset if he doesn't play. Now, I'm not saying that that's what I want. Let me be clear. But what I'm saying is you do not bring this guy back until he is 100% healthy, 100% healed from that hamstring, because we don't want that to be re-injured and to linger on. Justin, you're my favorite player, not just because you have my namesake, but now that it's a 4 to 6 week thing, I don't care. Shut him down. Let's move on. Can Kirk Cousins shine? Well, here's the thing. Justin Jefferson, according to the Kirk stance, is only as good as he is because Kirk Cousins is his quarterback, which is a bunch of phony baloney. It's a baloney sandwich, if you get what I'm saying. But Kirk Cousins, here's your time to shine. You don't have your number one weapon anymore. Whether it's this week in Chicago, next week against the 49ers, or the week after that against the Green Bay Packers. Here's the deal. I've always maintained that I would take Dante over Kirk by a very slim margin. Well, Dante had Randy, as if Kirk ain't had good wide receivers. And, oh, by the way, in his MVP runner-up to Peyton Manning season, he didn't have Moss for half the season. So guess what? Now Kirk has the opportunity to show us what he's really got. The Kirk stands will say, well, look at what he did in Washington. He had 1,000-yard receivers there too. Okay, that's all well and good. And I know today I'm not going to judge him completely on, because, again, if that weather in the Windy City becomes garbage, I'm going to understand that we're going to try to run the ball more than anything. But, and here's the but to this, I do recall Trey Lance going into Chicago last year in a monsoon and coming out of Soldier Field with that W. And, of course, when we talked about trading Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance, oh, no, we take a step back. All right, go put a W on Soldier Field. Show us what you got, Kirk. Come out shining. Again, get Jordan Addison involved. Get the running game involved, even if those running games are long handoffs by short, quick passes. No, I'm not talking about checkdowns. I'm talking about short, quick passes. All right, defensively, pump the brakes on Justin Fields. He's had a good stretch for the last 2 games. Went 1-1 in that stretch, but nevertheless, put a 40 burger on the Washington Commanders the last time they played. I'll remind people that was a week ago Thursday, so they've had some extra rest. They are down to their 4th-string running back. So the only legitimate runner that they have is Justin Fields. So pump the brakes on this guy. That's all you need to do defensively. Maybe you get a couple of turnovers, because we're going to circle back to the turnover ridiculous disparity that the Vikings have right now. In fact, let's start with that defensively. Yes, the offense has had too many, but we'll get that back in just a moment. Defensively, you have taken the ball away 3 times in 5 games. 3. Now, say what we want about Ed Donashell, and we're all happy that Ed Donashell is gone, and we got Brian Flores, who's a more attacking defensive coordinator and doing more blitzing and all those good things. At least Donashell's defense was taking the ball away. So at this particular point in time, if we're going to go on, put Brian Flores on the high horse, we got to get some turnovers. We should be getting turnovers over with Justin Fields. Now, next week, we'll talk more about it later, but this is the week to get on track defensively. Put Ivan Pace as a spy on Justin Fields. Do what you did against Jalen Hurts earlier, because the Bears don't have the wide receivers that the Philadelphia Eagles did, and they certainly don't have the running backs. So use a similar strategy against Justin Fields that you used on Jalen Hurts. Put the brakes on this guy. Put the brakes on him. He's feeling high after 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Now, again, what's funny is that ESPN roundtable where they said which quarterback in the NFC North would you want with the game on the line, 2 minutes, and half of them picked Justin Fields. Okay, he's had 2 good games, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, in that first game, he was really, really good, but he did throw the game-sealing interception in overtime. But having said all that, Justin Fields is the only guy that can hurt you. He's the only guy. They got rid of, again, he's the only guy. Realistically, 4th string quarterback. Could you imagine as Vikings fans what the Kirk stands would be saying if we were down to our 4th string running back? Oh, well, Kirk's got to do it all his own and he doesn't have the ability to play action. Okay. So if you know that that's what the excuse computer would be saying about Kirk, that is what you need to do to Justin Fields. End of discussion there. End of discussion. Side note, let's hit the reset button. I'll get to the chats here. If you haven't already hit that like button, please do. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do as well. So let's get back to the chats here. I know I got to get some shout outs for people in the building. I know I already shouted out David Chains again. Thank you so kindly for that. Let's see here. I'm not ready to say, and the brave men and women who support Davy Chains. Try to be serious that I still got this country back. My oath was forever. They probably just don't want my oath anymore. In all seriousness, T-Bass, I appreciate the support and I appreciate everything that you do. You, Chains, Dave from First and SKOL, to name a few. Again, absolutely thank you to you guys. What makes his injury more painful is how he faked the hamstring injuries during his touchdown. So, well, there is that. There is that. You better not do that one ever again. Shout out Frozen North in the building. What's going on, Frozen? I appreciate you stopping by. This offense has been looking clunky as of late. I don't know if you're talking about the Vikings or the Bears, but it applies to both of them. Other than the last 2 games the last 2 games that Chicago has played. But yes, if you are referring to the Vikings offense, it has been clunky all season, undisciplined, unprepared, and a whole bunch of turnovers. Okay, a whole bunch of turnovers. Kirk Cousins has thrown 3 interceptions, and the Vikings have had 10 other fumbles, if I did my math right. All I'm going to say is, again, if it is a weather-type game where you got wind gusts of 25 miles an hour, you better be able to run against the Chicago Bears. Their run defense is their whole defense is terrible. There is no reason that even with weather conditions, you should not have 24 points on the board by the end of this game. I'm not saying 31. I'm not saying 35. That would be a touch unrealistic, but there's no reason that you should not have at least 24 points. Shout out Mateo in the building. Speaking of turnovers, Kirk throws a pick 6 and fumbles twice. Right now, the weather is good. All right, we'll see if it stays that way. Put your score predictions in there. Jim NFL, shout out to you as well. But yes, get your score predictions in there because, as I said, I am actually going to keep myself to 20 minutes or less. That's the idea anyway. Should the Vikings trade JJ for the big? No, it's too evil. Get up out of here with that mess. Now they're going to get out. Yes, there you go. We beat them every year. Let's not start losing now. Well, yes, you swept them last year, albeit that the week 18 game was an absolute throwaway game. The Vikings had nothing to play for. Well, technically they still did, but we all know it wasn't going to make any difference. And Chicago was playing for the number 1 overall pick. So again, the first game at US Bank Stadium, yeah, we had the Bears 21-3. Then the Bears had us by a point after doing nothing in the second and third quarter like the Vikings have had a tendency to do. But we got him in the end. And again, fumble by Amir Smith-Marset, take it away, game over. Like I said, I'm not clamoring to bring back Ed Donaschle, but I am going to say he got turnovers with that defense. Again, did he get burned a bazillion times? Yes, but I'm just saying. All of the offensive linemen need to let their guy go. Hold on. Let them all make Kirk next play, and I'll tell Kirk. T-Bass. I love having you here. Is it still tank for Caleb? Well, according to some, yes. According to some, no. You know, I was going to save this tomorrow for Purple and Gold. Purple and Gold. SKOL for days. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say it tomorrow anyway. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you're on the side where you compete and you don't try and lose and you don't want to root for your team to lose, that's fine. You are allowed to do that. If you are somebody that is in the middle, like me, who says, I'm never going to cheer for a loss, but if they do, I'm not all that disappointed, that's okay too. And if you are somebody that has said, this season is garbage, lose every game so that we can get ourselves a top quarterback at either the first or second pick, you're allowed to feel that way too. What I can't stand about this fan base is that every side wants to tell the other side, you're a bad fan. You know what? If you want to keep rooting for victories and you want to finish 7-9, 7-10, so we can be mediocre, you're allowed to. I'm not going to call you a bad fan, but don't call me a bad fan. And don't call the people on the other side that say we should be playing for losses. Everybody's allowed to say whatever they want. Everybody's a fan. We all have the same objective. We want to win the Super Bowl at least once before we die. And by the way, I've been saying that line for 3 years. So no, I didn't steal it from SKOL North. They stole it from me, amongst many others. Bottom line, everybody stop calling everybody else bad fans, or stop trying to say that you're a better fan. Stop it. Jim, NFL, we won't get killed. Probably not, but dare to dream. Dare to dream. Cousins is the Vikings. Probably. There's one scenario where you can get out from under him. There's one. Again, SKOL for Days tomorrow night. I've actually already said it, but if you need a reminder, there's one way to force his hand. There is one way. Also, Sex that KLC loves giving the ball to Toby Gerhart. Now, that's not fair to Madison to call him Toby Gerhart. If you want to call him Leroy Horde, I can listen to that. Tony Gerhart, come on, Mateo. Also, the Vikings are clearly tanking. Clearly by benching Roy for Tonga. When Roy played, our run defense was good. I'm like, yeah, maybe. Maybe. I'm not sure. JMM Duke 6-0 family over everything. I have no idea what you're talking about there. Flores is not the answer. Defense still the same. I'm not going to say it's exactly the same, but I warned people that wanted to say, oh, our offense was top 10 and we're replacing Thielen with Jordan Addison so we can be top 5 and we just need our defense to be average. I said, we're using the same personnel outside of a couple guys here and there. You let Eric Kendricks go. You let Patrick Peterson go. And you thought that just by the scheme, we were going to be an average defense. Again, every chef is only as good as his ingredients. But for the last 3 seasons, we've had Mike Zimmer, Ed Donishow, and now Brian Flores as our defensive coordinator, ostensibly or in reality. And this defense has been garbage the whole time. So at some point, we got to look at the players too. Look at the bum Flores has to work with. It's Hunter Harrison Smith, maybe Pace, and that it's under trash. Actually, that's exactly what I said. Two-Tone Tony in the building. What's going on? Good to see you here, bro. Jim can, yeah, okay, let's move on. Harrison Smith. Skolden in the building. What's going on, Skolden? Thanks to see you. Thanks to see you as well. Whose jerseys everybody rocking? I'll be rocking my road Justin Jefferson, even though he's not playing. I got a home and a road, and those are the only ones I do, whether he plays or not. All right, let's see. Nobody patch, I'm at work. Okay, there you go. Me, Jared Allen, and I already had one. Okay. Mateo still. There's 27 Vikings, 20 I called the loss last week, even before JJ's injury, and we're sticking to it. I think you meant Bears. You probably spoke it in theirs. I'll get to my prediction in a second. I'm almost there. I'm on Team Tank. I'm usually not, but this year I'm fine with it. Fair enough. Fair enough. And you know what? I'm not going to call anybody a bad fan if whether they want the tank job or whether they want, no, we play it out just to be mediocre. Okay. You know what side I'm on. I'm never going to cheer for losses, but I'm not going to be upset if they do. Shout out to KB Plays in the building. What's going on? Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Very much appreciated. Patrick says Leroy Horde was the yes. If you need a yard, I'll get you 3. If you need 5, I'll get you 3. Great line by Leroy Horde. You trust Hawkinson? That's brave. Dude looks, yeah, he hasn't looked good, Mr. My back hurts and my ear hurts while I'm getting my new money. And all of a sudden, you can't catch it anymore. Post game going to be chaos of the Vikings lose. Yes, Chad. Shout out Chad in the building as well. You are absolutely correct. And this week, Rapping for Days will be on Rap's channel. Whenever he gets that episode put up, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that notification bell. But it is 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Again, we'll be on Purple Pocket Podcast. And you know what? I think it's going to be chaos either way. Because if the Vikings do what they did against Carolina, which is to squeak out a close victory, oh goody, we're going to be chaotic. And if the Vikings lose, it's going to be curb stomping for almost everybody. But we'll see. We'll see. Dr. Proto, we got a house call from the doctor. Home jersey for me for Danielle Hunter. Okay. Will forever hate the idea of switching to 3-4. You need elite talent. Yeah. And the fact that our talent was always going to be for a 4-3, but we didn't. My eyes will be on Addison, still a rookie, and I don't think he will be up for the test and spotlight. I'll say this. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Let's talk about Jordan Addison one more time. This is his opportunity. And in fact, it's on my phone. I'm going to get it here in just a second. I forgot to upload it, but that's all right. That is all right. We're going to enter here. Hey, guys, stick with me for a second. Just stick with me. You stuck with me for this long. Stick with me. Cancel. Enter studio. I forgot. I had another banner and I forgot to put it in. So hold up. This one was actually relevant. Okay. We go here and we go all the way down here and then we hit add background. I know, production value. I know. This is really what you came here to see. This is really what you came here to see, isn't it? Here it is. Okay. Jordan Addison had a meeting with the Star Tribune and was interviewed and had a couple of interesting comments, particularly now that Justin Jefferson is gone. All right, let's take this. Let's take this here. All right. This is where I get my chance to show I'm the best receiver in my class, Addison told the Star Tribune. So that is what I'm going to do. I was the fourth receiver taken. I got to show them that I should have been the first. Them some fighting words, ladies and gentlemen. I like the boldness, the brashness, but if you're going to talk the talk, you better be able to walk the walk. Again, the first game where he and KJ, who's number one, who's number two, doesn't really matter. Addison's going to get more snaps. KJ is going to get more snaps. And at the end of the day, we like Jordan Addison as a number 3. We hope he's going to be the number 2 to Justin Jefferson for many years to come. Well, he's got 4 to 6 weeks to show us something. He's got 4 to 6 weeks. I like the boldness and the brashness. Now come out, back it up next week when we talking about a molly-whopping anticipated beatdown from the San Francisco 49ers. So, Jordan Addison, this is your time to shine. This is absolutely your time to shine. T-Bass, I'm never calling anybody bad fan. I call seeing a bad player. T-Bass just couldn't help himself. T-Bass just couldn't help himself. Had Chris Carter, but after 41, I threw it away. Oh, jeez. Color Rush JJ, there you go. Hey, you showed up on time. Oh, Sarah in the building. Shout out Sarah, everybody. Shout out Sarah. She's got jokes for me. And you know what? I got to give a thank you to Sarah because when I put up this episode for 11:05, which ultimately I moved to 11:20, thank you, Culver's Northwest and Rochester for being really slow. Sarah DMs me, like, why are you doing a pregame tonight at 11 o'clock? I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, I said it for 11:05 p.m. So thank you, Sarah, for shouting me out and letting me know that. I very much appreciate it. All right, we're going to wrap this here. Madison makes me man, I see how to come on. Aiden, shout out to Aiden in the building. Is the weather going to make this a running back heavy game? Well, Dave from First and SKOL said that the weather is fine right now. But again, it's the Windy City in Chicago. It can be fine an hour before the game or even a half an hour before the game and then turn into an absolute, bleep show, either by the wind or by the rain. So, yes, this is going to be a game where Kirk Cousins and his stands are not going to be able to fall into the excuse, well, it was windy out there. You are a quarterback in the NFL. There's going to be windy games. There's going to be raining games. And I will say this, offensively, with all of our turnovers, oh my gosh, we better hope it doesn't rain. We're turning the ball over with dry footballs. Can you imagine what wet footballs is going to do to this team? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So again, to win this game, you cannot get turnovers. And if there is an opportunity for your defense to get turnovers, you must take advantage of it. Otherwise, forget about it. Forget about it. Young Cridge is in the game. Shout out to you. I want Kirk out, but this 24-24 class could be a bug. I don't know. A lot of people saying this is a deep quarterback draft. I will take Caleb Williams or Drake May. I think those two are head and shoulders above the rest of the guys. But having said that, let's see how this game goes. Because if you lose this game and you lose to San Francisco, Katie bar the door, just shut it down. And I'm going to get into more of this tomorrow, but the fact that there was a report that teams are calling on Hunter, Harrison, and KJ, well, That's what they should be doing. They should be looking at bad teams and say, can I pick off your great players? And at the end of it, I'm just going to say this for right now. I'm going to repeat it tomorrow. But for all the people that I said can still be called good fans, even though they're on the opposite side that I'm on, okay, I'm not going to call anybody bad fans, so let's stop at that. But for the same people that don't want to trade away our players because then we'll be garbage, and oh, by the way, they really don't want Kirk Cousins to be traded, no trade clause or not. That's not the point. The point I'm getting at is this. They're the same people that criticize Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah for not getting anything for Dalvin Cook and for getting peanuts for Zadarius Smith. You can't have it both ways. You can't. If you're going to get rid of players, or if you're not going to re-sign them after their contract expires at the end of the year, then get something for them. But for those who are saying, oh, well, that's a tank job. Again, it's not a tank job to get rid of players who are pending free agents. I've said that about a half dozen times now. But again, where you guys are frauds about wanting to just play it out is you're the same people that criticize Kwesi for getting nothing for Dalvin Cook when supposedly there was a third-round pick on the table. Yeah, I'll rip him for that if it was, in fact, a third-round pick, and I'll rip him for getting absolutely nothing in the first place. But then I'm not going to come around and say, no, you can't trade Danielle Hunter. You can't do that. And so when he walks, we'll get a compensatory pick in 2025. Screw that. I don't want picks in 2025. I want picks in 2024. So all y'all who said, oh, Kwesi not getting anything, and now I want to say you can't trade Harrison Smith, you can't trade Danielle Hunter, you can't trade Cousins, regardless of no trade. I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. So let me get to these last bit of chats, and then I'm going to get out of here. Yeah. Better hope the wind doesn't go crazy. Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I did that one. That's every class. Yeah, that's true. Draft picks are nothing but prospects. Yes, they are. But it's like in baseball. If you have a player that you know you're not going to re-sign, you trade them for prospects. In the NFL, those prospects are draft picks. It's the same thing, but I digress. Jim NFL says 27-16 Bears offensive line. So yeah, again, Danielle Hunter and Marcus Davenport, they should be sacking Justin Fields. And I said, put Ivan Pace, because if Justin Fields manages to get around the defensive line, you've got to have somebody there. Again, he's the only guy that hurts you. Turnover on the opening drive, maybe. Nothing can be put past this team. Gain at least 7 yards. Okay, that's fine. Yes, I'm just ignorant. I feel we've got this game, and I'm not convinced we lose next week. It's not that you're ignorant. It's one of those deals where, yeah, the Vikings could easily win this game. I'll give you my score prediction in a minute. The Vikings could easily win this game. Absolutely. Nobody's saying is that this is a slam dunk for Chicago. But again, it's the 1-4 bowl. So nothing is guaranteed. Now, as far as next week, Doctor, I'd love to see a victory over San Francisco, particularly if we're their first loss of the season. I just don't think it's going to happen, but we'll talk about it more later. Doctor, my brother packing in, weather be fine. Okay. SKOL Mafia in the building. Let's go, Purple Gang. Thanks for joining me here. Appreciate you. You were just hopeful. That's all. Exactly. You just hopeful. I like having my cake. Sarah's like having a beer, then having another one. All right, everybody go to Jim NFL, find some nice videos, and you subscribe to my boy. Mateo says 24-20 for the Bears. Please, no stupid first quarter turnovers. Yeah, I totally get it. I say we get a touchdown on the first drive. Now, that would be interesting, and it would be a nice, pleasant surprise, wouldn't it, SKOL Mafia? I totally agree. 28-17 to the Vikings. Okay, we have click. 8 wins gets us a draft outside of the top 10 and the second place schedule next year. It will do nothing for the future. Yes, I've said it a million times. Short-term pain for long-term gain. Sometimes when you win, you really lose. And sometimes when you lose, you really win. Copyright Gloria from White Men Can't Jump. But I digress. If you want to cheer for him to get to 7-10, great. Shout out Web Dev Bro in the building. If we can't beat the Bears, we're in trouble. If it's more than in trouble. If we can't beat the Bears, forget about it. And again, that's what I said earlier. It's a lose-lose situation for the Vikings today. If they win, then their 2 wins will be over Chicago and Carolina, which I say, wow, raise the banner, whoop-de-ding-dong. And if they lose to this team, oh my gosh, the curb stomping for the entire week is going to go on, and this team will be done. But there will be some fans that say, no, we're not done. We can go on a 5-game winning streak, even though we couldn't beat the Chicago Bears. Shout out, how about no? How many plays before we turn it over? I say 17 plays. We'll get through the first drive and a half. Anyway, final score prediction for me. As long as you contain Justin Fields, you should win this game. Offensively, what else do they have? As I mentioned, they are down to their fourth string running back. They've had some injuries in the secondary. There's no reason, even if the weather turns bad, that you should not have at least 24 points. These Bears defense is every bit as piss poor and god-awful garbage as ours. So imagine the Vikings offense going up against the Vikings defense. The offense should dominate, and you should dominate today. I'm not expecting them to, because in the KOC era, we've only been blown out a few times, and we haven't blown out anybody. Yeah, the Green Bay game, 23-7. Okay, that's 2 possessions, but Green Bay ultimately wasn't all that good last year. And okay, we did a decent job against the Bears to close out the season, which, as I mentioned earlier, was a garbage game. It was a throwaway game. It was a preseason game that you played your starters. It was utterly meaningless. So I don't see a blowout. I'd love to see the Vikings blow somebody out, and I'd really love it to be the Chicago Bears or the Green Bay Packers. And today we have that opportunity. So all I'm going to say is this. Do I expect the Vikings to blow out the Chicago Bears? No. Shout out Bears get 9 points just for the Dick Butkus fashion. Yeah, and I've said that a few times. They've had 3 extra days to rest because they had the mini bye for playing last Thursday. This is the first home game since Dick Butkus passed away. I'll remind people the Vikings actually played in 1999. They were the first team to play the Chicago Bears in Soldier Field after Walter Payton died, as a matter of fact. The Vikings won in overtime. I forget what the score was, but obviously it was a 3-pointer because Gary Anderson kicked a 40-yard field goal and barely made it. So the crowd's going to be jacked up because, they won. They're on a 1-game winning streak. The crowd's going to be jacked up to, honor Dick Butkus. So yes, the Vikings have a few things working against them. And as I said on my Thursday show, we're both bottom feeders. I don't want to hear, of all the 1-4 teams, the Vikings are the best one. I don't give a bleep about being the best 1-4 team. How ridiculous is that? Raise your standards a little bit. Okay. Jim NFL says maybe the third drive. Webb says 27-24. Barely a dub. Yeah. Since we haven't had JJ, we haven't blown anybody. Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. A blowout means we win by 8. Yeah, we blew out the Carolina Panthers just as easily and just as much as the Detroit Lions did, who put up 42 points on AS. Shout out Greg in the building. What's going on, G-Mac? Good to see you. Yes, you are. I got you. I told you I'd get you, G-Mac. I told you I'd get you. More like since we had Kirk, we have one. Well, there's that too. Night, Sarah, because at least we get a minute of junk time. There you go. Joe Cap Dinos. Yeah, well, again, they don't care. Walter was great, but Dick Butkus was the face of the. Oh, absolutely. It's not even close. It's not even close. All right, for real. 2 more minutes. We got to get out of here because we're 5 minutes to game time. Bet we have a crap ton of 3-and-outs. Why? Because, well, yes. You know what? He was top 10 in the league in Washington, too. The Kirk stands want to talk about, well, he had receivers for 1,000 yards in Washington too, but he didn't have any big names other than this guy and this guy. Okay. As if Thielen and Diggs are not better than what he had in Washington, as if Thielen and Jefferson and now Jefferson and KJ and Addison. Stop the cap, y'all. Stop the cap. But I'm not going to get much more into Kirk Cousins here today. We got plenty of time to do that. My final score prediction that I had been going with was 28-27 Vikings. I think they get the W today. Now, having said that, do I think if the weather turns bad that they're going to score that many points? Probably not. I mean, 55 is a pretty big number. Let me see while I'm rambling here. Let me see what the line is at this point, is particularly the over-under. No, not over again. All right, this is according to Odd Sharks for anybody playing at home. 44.5. 44.5. Yes, again, I picked it to be 55. But I didn't take the weather into account here. Wearing every 87 today. Hope he doesn't trust it. G-Mac says, oh, the Bears by 7. I wouldn't be surprised anyway. I wouldn't be surprised. Coincidence, 3-and-outs, bad on lines, choke job. They all have Kirk in common. Just saying. No, I've said that a million times. Even when he was in Washington, he had relatively ineffective interior offensive line play. And as I have said, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, they make their offensive lines look better than they actually are. Kirk is the inverse. He makes his offensive line look worse than they actually are. Again, somehow, some way, Pro Football Focus and ESPN has rated the Vikings offensive line top 5. Really? Okay. I'll say it one more time. What's the common denominator? Oh, this organization in Washington didn't do a good job of putting an offensive line on the interior in front of Kirk, and neither has the Vikings with 2 different general managers, and Rick Spielman and Kwesi Doferman. So, what's the common denominator here, folks? But I digress. Anyway, 28-27. I'm sticking with it because that's what I said on yesterday's podcast. I'm not the type of person that's going to change and say on one media this and one media that. That's just not who I am. Smith doing the game. I'm not sure what you mean. Shout out Vaughn in the building. Made it again. Drafted Mason. I told you I'd take Caleb or Drake May. I'll take either one of those 2 and I'll be fine. So, them guys slinging the ball to Jefferson and Addison. Oh, yeah. We got to let a rookie sit. You don't got to let a rookie sit when he's got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to throw the ball to. But I digress. Is Dalton Reisner playing today? I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming he'll dress up. But whether he actually gets in the game or not, I don't know. But I also think that if you can find a team that desperately wants an Ezra Cleveland who can play either guard or wants to play tackle, and you can ship him out, even for like a 3rd-round pick, do it in a heartbeat. 2-minute warning. Thank you kindly. I appreciate it. Just want to say thank you one more time for all y'all who showed up today. Thank you so very, very much. I appreciate it. Again, Rapping for Days will be on Purple Pocket Podcast starting at 8 Central. And as always, about 8:15 Central tomorrow night, we have SKOL for Days. And I'm guessing it's going to be spicy one way or the other. The only way it's not spicy is, God forbid, the Vikings actually blow somebody out. And even then, we're going to say, well, yeah, but you blew out the Bears. So, again, this is like when the Gophers or any other Power 5 team plays a hyphenated school. Like when the Gophers every year would play Louisiana Lafayette State or whatever. Well, if you lose to that team, you're really bad. And if you blow that team out, well, you're supposed to blow that team out. So with all that said, everybody, thank you kindly for joining me. And as always, SKOL to the next episode. SKOL Vikings. Regardless, let's win this game, or at the very least, don't get embarrassed.